Hey guys, Andrew here with Nashville Severe Weather, taking a break from orange chicken and fried rice here for dinner to talk about the severe thunderstorm warning that's coming in. Just issued severe thunderstorm warning for Williamson County. This was a storm that got to rotating and had a tornado back to the southwest, way back to the southwest of us, and we've been watching it real close. So severe thunderstorm warning now for Williamson County. And it looks like this storm is now entering Thompson Station, Boston, right around the 840 corridor there west of I-65. And I got to tell you all, this thing's a hailer. We got another hailer. And so this thing is pinging like 2.5-inch hail diameter up in the sky. A lot of you talking about the sky's very green there in Spring Hill and the western sides of Murray County. And that's why the sunset sky is kind of shooting through that cloud there. And there's a lot of ice up there. All right. So you may not get 2.5-inch hail at the ground, but I expect this is going to be a hailer. All right, as it comes through. So severe thunderstorm warning now for Williamson County. That's going to be in effect till 7 p.m. That's another 40 minutes. And that is going to be for 60-mile-per-hour wind gusts and quarter-size hail. We hope it stays at quarters. All right, so that's what we hope. We don't want any bigger than quarters, but the severe thunderstorm warning is for 60-mile-per-hour wind gusts and quarters. All right, so let's take a look at velocities here, and there's definitely some inflow coming into the storm. Pretty healthy inflow, and that's kind of what these bright blues are. It's kind of the inflow into the storm there, and then some mid-level rotation in this storm. It's not low level. It's not low-level rotation close to the ground, but that mid-level rotation is going to keep those hail sizes up, okay? So that's what's got these hail sizes all up in the pink colors here, and that's for hail up in the sky that could be, radar thinks it could be over 2 inches in diameter up in the sky. All right, so that's what we're watching as we come in, and you poor folks down there in western Murray County and Thompson Station, Spring Hill, y'all have just been getting the hailers. And this looks like it's going to be one of those again for southwestern Williamson County. So let's back out just a tad and show you what we've got. We do not have any tornado warnings in effect. This is all kind of mid-level rotation that just helps keep the storm beefy. It helps it keep life together. It helps it, it helps the life to continue of the supercell as it's getting fed that moist air from the south. But that rotation there in the mid-levels, well, we don't think it's tornadic at the moment. We do think that it's keeping the hail sizes up. The Weather Service does say, though, that we may see low-level rotation with the storm there towards Spring Hill, so I'd be close to a safe place, but it's not really in an environment right now that's conducive to tornadoes, but we may see low-level rotation with it, and so it's not really in a favorable environment for that to happen. But if it... but we're going to watch it real closely. I'm reading their note here. It's a lot of technical jargon that we understand, but we just kind of want to wrap our heads around what they're looking at here. And it looks like that they are not too concerned with the rotation that they see here on the radar. Again, it's just kind of a strong rotating updraft perhaps, but it may not necessarily be a tornado. So anyway, that's basically to say the Weather Service is watching it very closely and getting some notes from people that live in northwestern Murray County that say the sky is just bright green, and that's really just it's that sunset sky shining through that storm, and all of that ice in there is just giving it that green glow. So that's what's going on out there right now in Murray County. So let's talk about how to prepare for this over in Davidson County. I'm sorry, in Williamson County, southern Williamson County. You folks got that severe thunderstorm warning in effect. That's in effect until 7 o'clock. And let's talk about how to prepare for that. You guys need to be inside. You need to be away from windows. You don't need to be outside. Once this thing starts, don't go outside and try to drive your car in the garage or something like that. Just don't try to be outside in this, because the hail could be pretty large. We're talking about quarters, but it could be a little larger than that as it comes through. Weather Service says they're watching it very closely. And so they say if they need to pull the trigger on a tornado warning, they'll do it. But we're not there yet. All right. So here's some mid-level rotation there on the storm, and that's just kind of helping keep this storm healthy. All right. It's feeding it really well. I'm checking on another radar off screen. And yeah, it just seems like mid-level rotation there. So they're keeping an eye on that very, very closely, as I know you're kind of wondering about. This storm had a little bit of a history of producing some bad weather back to our southwest. right, let's go over to another radar here and kind of zoom in, talk about who's in on this cell and who's included. This is going to be a warning for Greenbrier, Boston, Kingfield, Thompson Station, Spring Hill, Bethesda, Arno, Page High School, Henpeck Lane, Franklin, Nolensville. You're not there yet, but it could, if this thing keeps trucking, it could be a warning that comes out for Nolensville, and then on up to Cool Springs as well. So down to Triune as well, Arno, all the way down. Triune's not included in that. Arno is, and all the way down to Bethesda. So that's kind of who's in and who's out. Everybody inside the yellow polygon is included in the severe thunderstorm warning right now. So we're watching it very closely and taking a look at velocities again, and we see that kind of mid-level rotation there. And again, that's just kind of serving to keep the hail sizes up. Here's another look at the kind of the hail view, and sometimes this can lag behind, so it might actually be a little bit further east and northeast of where it shows right here, because the radar has to process that information in order to make that picture right there. So, but basically you see a bullseye of hail, and that can be pretty large hail, and that's probably a little bit east of where it's showing there. So coming into Williamson County very shortly, looks like we have another hailstorm coming through, and it looks like it's going to be mostly, let me check this view here. Yeah, it looks like the hail is pretty much going to be right there southwest of Boston. So anywhere you kind of see the greens and yellows and blues, that's going to pretty much be hail that the radar is seeing, and that's around Greenbrier and Boston, probably across 840 in a little bit. I'm having a little bit of deja vu here. Haven't we been here before and had a hailer go through there? I mean, it's just one after another. But pretty decent supercell here that's coming into Williamson County, and it's losing a little bit of its characteristics that it had earlier. Namely, it doesn't seem to be producing a tornado right now, which is great news. So this is a severe thunderstorm warning for Williamson County, but back to the west, this thing packed a really big punch, and it has kind of moved into some more stable air, the Weather Service believes, and we're going to watch it real closely with them, and we're going to watch every word they say to us as far as what they're going to be issuing for this. Looks like another, they're continuing a severe thunderstorm warning that was already in effect down to our southwest, so they're going to continue that. Extremely heavy rain with this. You see a flash flood warning back to the southwest as well, and there's a lot of heavy rain with this cell, and I think that warning may have come out. That was issued about 6 o'clock, so a little after 6. So extremely heavy rain with this as it comes through. It could get the creeks and rivers going pretty high. All right, so let's zoom in again. Let's see. I tell you what. Let's do a storm track on it and see where it's going. I think we ought to do that. And so let's see how fast this thing's going. And it's moving at about 35 miles per hour. So let's kind of ping the worst part of the storm and do a track on that. Okay. So we're going to go out about. Let's see here. Yeah, 35 miles an hour. So let's kind of take the worst part of it right in here, and let's go out at about 35 miles per hour, and that would take it around Greenbrier about now. Buckner Road 648, Polk Place 655, Sullivan Farms 656, Williamson County Fairgrounds Ag Center about 657, Bethesda 658. And on down the line, 703 Arno. You're not you are included in the warning there, but Page High School 703, Trinity 706, and then getting on down to Triune, you're not included yet in the warning, but that's about 713. All right, but just kind of give you a heads up. Don't take these as gospel; they're just estimates. But looking at that storm moving east, if it holds together. All right, let's go back over. I want to look at some velocity data and stuff on this radar, and actually, I want to look at it on this radar. So this is TBNA out of Nolensville, and I'm not seeing anything crazy wild on velocities. Still seeing that mid-level rotation, but not seeing. I would love to see your reports if there's anything crazy as far as the wind goes, and we'd love to know if you are getting strong wind. I'm not seeing a lot of indication of that right here as I sit here right now looking at this radar screen. So seeing some greens. I have to go pretty high up in the storm to get the real strong winds up at about 7,000 feet. Below that, I'm not really seeing a whole lot, but we'd love to know about it if you are seeing that. All right, back over to traditional radar here. And again, severe thunderstorm warning. If you're just joining us, a bunch of you have since I've last looked over. Severe thunderstorm warning in effect till 7 o'clock tonight. That's another 30 minutes for Williamson County and mostly for areas south of Brentwood and Fairview and Nolensville. So if folks south of Fairview, south of Brentwood, south of Nolensville, basically the central and southern part of Williamson County is included in that warning. Big hail. All right, here's your hail view. And big hail coming in northwestern Murray County now, going into Theta, kind of up there on the ridge. If you've driven down through Theta, up there on the ridge there, that's kind of where the hail is, kind of right around Snow Creek Road, and that's State Route 247 there that goes out toward Duck River, but out of Theta. So that's where some pretty large hail is right now. And that's headed right, really kind of toward Thompson Station. All right, so we're kind of, you kind of take this out to the east, and really 840 and 65. We got really another hailer coming through Spring Hill and Thompson Station, kind of like we had this morning. So another hailer coming through Spring Hill, Thompson Station, and as you go east with that hail core, then that kind of takes it over to the 65 840 junction, that interchange there. And then it takes it over toward Page High School and over toward the eastern part of Williamson County. So, again, we kind of go back in time here. There's Duck River in eastern Hickman County, and you kind of push that east, and that's your core of hail. And it looks like it's, A, pretty big, and B, it's, it's going to kind of go right near Spring Hill and Thompson Station, hopefully south of Franklin. We'll see. All right, let's go back to traditional radar view here, and you can kind of see the thing looks like a pretty decent supercell, and we don't see just a whole lot of rotation with it. That's even come down some just in the past little bit. Some of that rotation has weakened, so even still some mid-level rotation with it. It's going to maybe keep the hail sizes up a little bit, but honestly, it's come down just a tad. All right, let me read this from the Weather Service. They've pointed out a good point here. They want to point out that while we've been focusing on warm temperatures for the tornado threat, the temperature is not a factor for the heavy rain and flash flooding. And so this can easily develop north of the warm front. So we've been talking about this warm front today. Got a warm front stationed somewhere down here in southern middle Tennessee. And we think that's one reason why we saw the tornadoes, confirmed tornadoes back here in West Tennessee, right there near the Tennessee River in Henderson and Decatur County and back that way, Chester County. And as the storm kind of moved east, it kind of moved in more stable air. We think there's a warm front kind of down here. And north of the warm front is where you want to be. South of the warm front is where you can have problems with tornadoes. So we think that this storm has crossed over that and is losing some of its punch because of that. That will not impact the flooding threat. That can still happen north of the warm front without a problem. That has much less to do with the warm front than with the development of tornadoes. So very heavy rain coming through Williamson County now, especially back toward Boston. And I'll mention this. We've said it before. You see all this green. I've turned the radar off, but you see all the green down in here. And these are a lot of hills, a lot of woods, and a lot of hollows down in there that have creeks. They all have creeks kind of that run down through them. And a lot of these roads down through here in southwestern Williamson County run right beside a creek. And so, it doesn't take a whole lot sometimes for that creek that runs near those roads to come over the road. And so that, it won't take a lot of rain with all that we've had. It won't take a lot to make that happen. So careful out there if you're driving out there in Leapers Fork down to the southwest. And there could easily be some flooding issues down there in southwestern Williamson County and really overall most of Williamson County over the next little bit. So as we were talking about on YouTube Live earlier, it kind of depends on where the rain's going to fall as far as who's going to have the flooding problems. And right now, it looks like it's going to be in that Harpeth River watershed, Duck River, and eventually, if it goes north enough toward Nolensville, it's going to be up in the Mill Creek watershed too, which that thing can cause problems too. So this could be an issue for flooding with us over the next little bit. All right, so don't discount the don't discount the flooding threat and the hail threat with this. All right. So let's go back to the hail view here and check that out. Hail sizes have come down a little bit, and the worst of the hail may slide just north of the neighborhoods in Spring Hill, but it's not going to be by much. It's not going to be by much. It might be up more toward Sullivan Farms and up more toward Henpeck Lane and the Ag Center and stuff like that. So if you escape the worst of the hail there in Spring Hill, it's not going to be far up the road. It might be up Columbia and Lewisburg Pikes near 840 or just to the north. So it may get up into the neighborhoods in South Franklin. All right, let's back out a little bit. Let's go over and take a look at velocities again. We want to keep an eye on these velocities. This is from TBNA. It has a very good view of the storm, and not seeing anything too impressive as far as velocities and really, really fast winds. Not seeing anything crazy, and not seeing anything wrapping up real tight. So that's a good sign. These are reds and greens. We talk about that. Your reds are going away from the radar. Greens going toward the radar. But we're not seeing anything real tight here as far as rotation goes. But enough rotation, perhaps, to keep this storm healthy and kind of moving right along. Could be a little bit of rotation here developing just north of Columbia. But again, as the Weather Service said, they're not convinced that even a little bit of rotation here developing on the screen would be a problem because we're in somewhat stable air. But they're keeping a very close eye on that. So could be a little bit of rotation trying to come together. These reds and these blues are trying to come a little closer together, and we're going to watch that closely there southwest of Spring Hill, okay? So that's something we're watching, and that's in kind of a favorable area of the cell down there on the southwest side. All right, so we're going to keep an eye on that. Let me look at TBNA, see if it shows the same thing, and it kind of does right down here north of Columbia. So we're looking at basically the same thing. And so we'll keep an eye on that. Just some low-level rotate or mid-level rotation, but that's going to help and to serve to keep the hail sizes going, and basically just going to help to keep this thing cranking. And so again, your heaviest hail right now coming through Theta, but it may miss some of the neighborhoods in Spring Hill. We're just going to have to see. We'll see if it splits the middle between Franklin and Spring Hill, but then that leaves kind of the fairgrounds and the neighborhoods around there to get some of this hail. So we'll just have to see. But sizes have come down just a tad, and looking at probably quarter size now, maybe a little bit less. But you know, it could be every bit of quarters. All right, back to the traditional radar view here, and let's tell you what. I'm going to pull up a camera. I think it's not really showing much right now, so I won't put it up right now. Well, sure as I say that, there's a huge lightning strike on it. But this is a camera in Nolensville back to the southwest, and it looks like they are Weather Service is issuing a severe thunderstorm warning. This is going to be for Murray, Marshall, Rutherford, and Williamson. That's going to be till 7. So 20 minutes on that, and that's going to be probably for that's for this cell back to the south, kind of on the southern end. So new severe thunderstorm warning here that's going to cover the southeastern corner of Williamson County, Bethesda down to the south. All right, so that's a new severe thunderstorm warning that's going to cover the southern area. That's until 7. Both warnings are in effect until 7, and we'll see after that what they do. All right. So looking at rotation again, it's broad rotation, and the Weather Service is well aware of that, and they're watching it closely. So, yeah, looking at TBNA as well over there. So again, this camera looking at a Nolensville back to the southwest. It's got a pretty good view of it, except we have the hill in the way, but we're looking up into the storm that's there southwest of Nolensville, and so the storm will approach. You know, part of the heaviest part of that storm will kind of approach this camera, so we'll have a pretty good view of it as it comes in, kind of looking up at it. But we won't be able to see down real low, but we'll be able to kind of look up at it and see the lightning and that kind of thing that comes in with it. But a lot of lightning with it. I'm going to go ahead and pull that up, and yeah. let me pull up your lightning. So you can kind of see all the dots here. Maybe you can on your phone, maybe you can't, but there's a lot of lightning with it. And all these white dots are cloud to ground strikes. And so it's pretty noisy for sure. I'm going to turn those off. Okay, severe thunderstorm warning, 2 of them now for Williamson County, both in effect till 7 o'clock. So basically it's fair to say that everybody south of the Natchez Straits Bridge and south of Grassland, all the way down to the county line near College Grove, Bethesda, Thompson Station, Spring Hill, all you folks down there are included in that severe thunderstorm warning till 7 o'clock. And it's for hail and the possibility of 60-mile-per-hour winds. All right, hail sizes could be coming back up now, and especially down here to the south near Columbia. Again, this is Murray County down here, but some of this stuff's been sliding our way. I think we'll have more of an issue with the northern part of the storm than the southern, but still could be an issue there. Hail, pretty much an issue all the way up now from Columbia all the way into Williamson County. So there's an updated view of the hail, and it just kind of oscillates between 1 and 2 inch diameter hail up in the storm. And then, but right now looking at about 1 inch. All right, so this is your supercell. This is your storm, and it is pushing east. It has 2 warnings on it. And first warning is up for kind of the northern part of the storm, and the other part of the warning is down on the southern end of the storm, both in effect till 7 o'clock. I'm going to go back over to the camera here. I'm going to switch to a couple of other things here, and let me check out a couple other resources while we're kind of checking around here. All right, I tell you what. Let me mention here while you're looking at the camera here that the way to send reports, and again, we mentioned this earlier on our YouTube Live. You guys did an awesome job, and you have been doing an awesome job past couple of days sending in reports. So if you see hail, if you see damaging winds, if you see damage of any kind, but if you see hail, we would love to know what size that is. And so if you could compare it to the size of a coin, maybe tweet something. If you have a picture that you've taken safely, that's great. Send us a picture of it. Let us know where you are. And we would love to know. Hashtag T-Spotter. Put that in your tweet. Hashtag T-Spotter. That gets it right to us. It puts it in a nice, organized fashion that we can kind of go through it real quickly and see what is what we need to send to the Weather Service. So that is very, very helpful. We would love for you to do that. So Weather Service is continuing here 2 severe thunderstorm warnings that could involve hail and 60-mile-per-hour winds. And those are for Williamson County. Davidson County, you're not included in any of this. You guys are good to go for a little while. And so y'all are fine. There's nothing right now that's heading your way. This particular storm down here in Williamson County is not yet a Davidson County problem. If it is, it will be from like Creve Hall down to the southeast. It doesn't look like it's going to go, north of 40 or anything right now. It looks like it's going to be basically a kind of a southeast of Creve Hall and B&A issue if it goes up into Davidson County at all. We're just going to have to see. Warnings in effect till 7. At that point, they'll decide, or as the storm kind of moves through the polygon, they'll decide whether to reissue it off to the east. They'll decide to expire it, cancel it, not do anything. But the thing seems to be relatively healthy at this point. So we'll see what they do with it coming up in about 15 minutes or before. So new flash flood warning coming out for Murray and Williamson. This thing's putting down torrential rain. I mean torrential rain. And so new flash flood warning coming out now. That'll appear up in green. That'll be a green polygon here. And that covers most of Williamson County. In fact, I'm getting ready. I'll probably get a WEA alert on this one. So I'm going to be ready with my phone to silence it when that goes off. But so if you get a WEA alert on your cell phone, that is for this cell coming up through Williamson County now that's putting down torrential rainfall, and that's going to be a flash flood warning until 9:45 tonight. All right, so it's gonna really put down a lot of water. Okay, so here is your flash flood warning. Let me go over here and let me turn the radar off, and let me turn the severes off just 1 second. All right, so here's your flash flood warning here, and that's going to be from Franklin up to Nolensville, and College Grove, Bethesda, Thompson Station, Page High School, Williamson County Fairgrounds, Sullivan Farms, down to out to Leapers Fork, Boston, and on down into Murray County. Okay, so there's your flash flood warning there. Those of you getting that WEA alert, there you go. That's what that is. And so torrential downpours falling now into Williamson County. So, and here it is. So this, hail size is coming back up again down in Murray County. Hail size is really coming up there. So this is a pretty healthy storm. And in fact, the Weather Service is, it looks like they are continuing. Okay, they're just shoring up the warning back to the southwest there. So I saw that change, and that's what they were doing. They were just shrinking that a little bit back to the southwest of us. So, but these two warnings are what we're concerned with. These are two severe thunderstorm warnings, both in effect till 7 o'clock for Williamson County, and mostly southern Williamson County. But this is going to be a heavy rain event. So I'll go ahead and say it. If you live near some creeks and streams out here in southern Williamson County, here's your newest radar image there. If y'all are out at, if you live near a creek or a stream in Williamson County here, it's probably going to come up pretty fast here. You folks around Mill Creek and Nolensville, y'all need to be watching this, okay? You really need to watch it around Nolensville. That Mill Creek could come up pretty fast here in the next hour or two. As this heavy rain pushes in, the watershed for Mill Creek. The watershed for Mill Creek kind of begins down here. If y'all know in Nolensville where you live, down here around Burt Collar Road, you got all these hills on Clovercroft. The Mill Creek watershed kind of begins on that ridge right in there. Okay, so that's where the water starts coming off those hills to form Mill Creek that runs through town. All right, so if it's south of that, it's going to go down to the Harpeth. If it's north of that, it's going to go into Mill Creek. And you know that ridge right there, you come up Nolensville Road going to Triune, you kind of go over that ridge there just south of town before you get to McCandless Road. That's where you cross that watershed. And all that water that's north of there goes down in through Nolensville and goes up toward Concord and Nolensville and on up down Mill Creek. So just FYI, as this heavy rain comes through there, we want to be aware of that. Mill Creek could be a problem if the heaviest rains kind of get into Nolensville, all right? Okay, and that kind of applies to every watershed. I don't know all of them, but that kind of applies to all of them. You kind of get into these creeks and streams down there and then come up pretty fast, and that's what the flash flood warning is for. All right, still some big hail sizes down here, mostly in Murray County, but man, these hail sizes could be pretty big down in Murray County. And I'm looking up here for your reports. I haven't looked in a little bit, and I hope I didn't miss any, but looking to see if there's any hail reports. Looks like Spring Hill Columbia border had some small hail. And it's maybe some dimes out near Burwood. Okay. And some power out down in Murray County or right around Spring Hill. Okay. So it looks like some dimes, maybe some nickels in there is what we're seeing right now. Okay. But they could be bigger than that further down into Murray County, and we're just not seeing them yet. So most of our folks live up here in Williamson County, and it's probably not quite that big. But the rain is a thing. The rain is a thing. It's going to rain hard. All right. Let's see here. I'm looking at some comments from the guys here. It doesn't look like anything new. David's over on Twitter. Will's taking reports. And we're seeing now, kind of looking down into Murray County just a tad, and you see that white right there. That's some very high reflectivity, and that is for sure some pretty big hail down there. Double Branch Road, again, this is down in Murray County. John Sharp Road, some areas down there. So big hail down there in Murray County. We hope it doesn't come up into Williamson. We hate it for those folks, but we hope it doesn't come up into Williamson. But it might clip. It might clip southeastern Williamson County from Bethesda down to the southeast, Comstock Road, Cross Keys, areas like that. So that big hail could clip southeastern Williamson County. Smaller hail up toward Thompson Station, Franklin, and over to Sullivan Farms, Fairgrounds, Ag Center, Page High School. All right, so pretty big storm coming through Williamson County now, and the warning stays in effect for another 10 minutes at least. We'll see what they do with it after that. I I would expect, if I had to guess, that that they would reissue a warning if it came up on expiration time and this particular storm wasn't out of here. It's got some pretty big hail numbers coming in down into Murray County, and it's kind of part of this particular severe thunderstorm warning box that they came out with a little bit later and is in effect till 7. Those are some pretty big numbers there. And you got some mid-level rotation here that's kind of helping keep the hail sizes up, but nothing too concerning there. And it looks like, okay, got Pease in Columbia. Got some maybe dimes down in Murray County. I'm looking at Murray County because some of that could move into southeastern Williamson County. So that's why I'm spending a little bit of time over there in Murray County on reports. Let's see. I can't tell how big that hail is, but man, I'll tell y'all something, though. I'll let you watch this a little bit. A lot of lightning over here on the camera. This is in Nolensville, looking to the southwest. So this is looking right into the storm. And so I'm watching over here on radar and seeing the storm approach I-65. Really, the I-65 840 area is where the heaviest storm is as far as the Williamson County part. But the storm is quickly kind of taking root down on the Murray-Williamson border, kind of down around Bethesda. All right, so that's where kind of the storm is taking root. And then the northern part of the storm up here in Williamson County is kind of the extra part, kind of on the northern side. So we get all the heavy rain and maybe some of the small hail, but the worst of the storm is kind of taking root down there just southwest of Bethesda. So you folks in Bethesda need to probably be away from the windows because that could be some pretty big hail moving through there right now. Looks like some brief pea-sized hail in Spring Hill, Henpeck Lane, and Franklin. And maybe some dimes there in West Haven. So definitely some hail out there. All right. So you see there may be some wind involved with this as well. You kind of see how it's bowed out. Let me bring up the radar again. Kind of see how it's bowed out here. Could be some wind as a part of that, as kind of air is wrapping around the back side of it, kind of pushing that out, and could be a quick hit of hail and some high winds there in northeastern Murray County that would probably clip southeastern Williamson here in just a little bit. All right, so severe thunderstorm warning in effect for another 5-10 minutes, something like that. Weather Service is continuing these warnings till 7 o'clock. I would expect some things to get reissued here in a little bit if hail sizes stay up, but kind of a tough call. Radar may be overestimating the size of the hail down in Murray County, and we haven't gotten too many big reports of hail. We've seen some peas, dimes, maybe some nickels. That's all considered non-severe. Report of nickel-sized hail, Kedron Road in Spring Hill. That's non-severe. I know it's loud and all that, but nickel-sized hail is not considered severe. It has to be 1 inch in diameter or quarter size, or that possibility of that happening for it to be considered severe. A lot of lightning there on the camera in Nolensville looking southwest. And again, we're looking right into the heart of that storm as we kind of got the camera pointed up there, and we're looking right into the heart of it. And we'll probably see a lot of electricity there over the next few minutes. So we'll be watching that. Let me give you a radar update here. So Nolensville starting the heavy rain, and unfortunately it looks like some of that heavy rain is starting to go into the Mill Creek watershed. So basically from where the red is to the north is all going to go into Mill Creek. So to the south will kind of go toward the Harpeth. So that's anything north of kind of where this red is. It's going to go that direction. All right, so more heavy rain to come in the next little bit. That's crossing 65 around Page High School as well, and out toward Arno Road. And that's all pushing east and to the northeast. All right, let's go down to the south a little bit, check out Murray County. And yeah, still some pretty big hail sizes there around Bethesda. If you folks down around Bethesda could let us know. In fact, I'm seeing some Now, there's a nickel size report in Spring Hill. There's quarters down in Murray County, Nichols, Bear Creek exit, Nichols to quarters in Spring Hill on Kings Creek Golf Course, Dimes in Spring Hill off Port Royal. So go back over to the camera here, and man, that was close. So a lot of lightning. So I didn't see the lightning from that one before the thunder hit. So made me jump a little bit. All right, so off to the north, you're watching the camera there in Nolensville looking southwest, and I'm checking radar over here. It looks like the strongest hail core right now is in Bethesda, so that hail's creeped into Williamson County. The hail has crept into Williamson County there around Bethesda. So folks in Bethesda, we could really use some reports once it's safe to do so there around Bethesda, because you could have some pretty large hail there. And seeing several pictures here of hail, not quite covering the ground, but not too far from it. As David said, it's too much rain. New flash flood warning for most of Williamson County. Do not drive across flooded roads. Where the heavy rain is falling, it's quite possible that that water is going to run off into the creeks pretty fast. All right, ponds are full. Some of your detention ponds in your neighborhoods may be full already, and it's going to be really easy for that water to just run right off and go right for the creeks, instead of maybe being held back for an hour or two. When the ponds are full, it's easy for that water, just what comes in has to go out. And so that could make creeks come up a little faster than they normally would because of all the rain we've had. So hail in Spring Hill, P's to quarters. Getting a lot of pictures in. Y'all are doing it again. This is great. Sending in reports. We love it. Thank you very much. So hashtag T-Spotter on Twitter is exactly how to send in your reports. And you're watching the camera in Nolensville, kind of the light show off to the southwest there. We're kind of looking toward that hail core, and it's very electrically active for sure. So let's go back to the radar and give you an update with that. And see the purple? The purple here's the hail. So that's where it is. And it's pretty large, it looks like. And maybe the largest would be down in Murray and Marshall County. But there around Bethesda, it could be pretty large, at least quarter size there. Pretty good indications of hail there in Bethesda, and kind of all around there. So Arno-Allisona Road, areas like that. Let's see. Let me get an update from the Weather Service. I haven't checked that in a little bit. Let me see what they're going to be doing here. About another 2 minutes on these warnings, so we're going to have to. We'll know here in a little bit whether they're going to keep things going, which I have a hunch they probably will. So based on the reports we're getting, and they're getting the reports. I can see right here they're getting those reports that you're sending in, and it's very helpful. All right. All right, here's kind of another look at the hail. I think this is where the heaviest hail is falling. I think probably the larger hail here is in Williamson County. I think it's right here around Bethesda. And I think it's heading right for College Grove. It'll be there in about 30 seconds to a minute. It's not going to take long. But it looks like pea-size hail, corner of Buckner. So there's a pea-size hail report. There's a lot of water. We're starting to get pictures of a lot of water. So coming through yards, down streets, and that's over in Spring Hill. So looks like we're going to be getting some street flooding with this, and possibly some creeks and streams. Wouldn't surprise me in the least. So there's a lot of water coming down in a big hurry. So looks like a new severe thunderstorm warning coming out. This is going to be for Williamson County. Not surprised at all. This will be a new severe thunderstorm warning coming for Williamson County, and we'll check that out here in just a second. Hasn't appeared on my stuff yet, so we'll check it out when it gets here. So new severe thunderstorm warning till 7:45 tonight. And let me go over here to a different radar, and we'll check out and see if it showed up, and it did. So let me go over and look at that radar. And we got the radar turned off here, but let's just give you an idea of where the polygon is. Basically, Sullivan Farms, basically down to Spring Hill over to College Grove, includes Bethesda, on up toward Nolensville, includes the Burke Hollow area, almost all of Burke Hollow Road there down to Wilson Pike. So all you folks all the way up, most of eastern Williamson County included in the severe thunderstorm warning now. And the other radar has that on the display now, so we'll go back to it. Looks like some decent size hail possibly falling there in College Grove back to the southwest and down into Marshall County a little bit. So hail pinging potentially up to a little over 2 inches in diameter, but again, that seems to have been overestimated so far. So it looks like it's been smaller than that, but quarters still aren't fun when they come down like they have been. They're loud and can be a problem. So let me scroll down through your reports here and see. Looks like we've got power poles down in Spring Hill. That's near Saturn Parkway. Picture of some power poles down. So if your power's out down that way, that would probably be why. College Grove, Bethesda, looks like, man alive, if I'm seeing this right, this radar may not be overestimating. That looks a lot like, if I'm looking at that right, it looks a lot like golf ball size hail in Bethesda just now. Hard to tell. But College Grove, Bethesda, that looks pretty big. So if it's a quarter I'm looking at, I know, and if y'all just search hashtag T-Spotter on Twitter, you're able to see all this. But if that's a quarter I'm looking at, that fits in the palm of a hand down there in College Grove and Bethesda, and that's a pretty big hailstone. So let's just assume that radar is not overestimating the size of this hail, and we could be looking at 1.5 inch, possibly 2 inch hail down there in Bethesda, Cross Keys, Alasona, and College Grove. So that hail was pretty big in that picture I just saw. So looks like, getting another picture now, some confirmation of that. It looks every bit of quarter and ping pong ball size there in Bethesda Road, off Bethesda Road and Thompson Station. So that hail was big. That's really big hail there in Bethesda, and also Bethesda Road back toward Thompson Station. All right. So College Grove, Alasona, through the 31A, 41A split there, down through College Grove, there where the road split south of Triune. You got the gas station and Bonnie's Barnyard and those places down there, down to Alasona. You guys get ready for a hailstorm because it's going to be a pretty big one based on what we're seeing on our reports. And looks like larger than ping pong ball size coming in east of Spring Hill. It fits in. It's not quite baseball. It's not quite baseball, but it's every bit of golf ball or bigger. That looks bigger than golf ball to me. So anyway, big hail coming there through Bethesda, east of Spring Hill, and over to College Grove. All right, and that's going to be mostly in this purple area there between Choctaw Road, Giles Hill Road, and going over toward Alasona. And that's going to be where your hail is. In fact, this whole area here, if you see this whole area here, there's Bethesda, College Grove. Everything that's not pink really could be considered hail here in Williamson County, and that's in the southeastern corner, Giles Hill Road, and a couple of those we mentioned there, Choctaw, down to Cross Keys. So away from the windows down there. Get away from the windows as this comes through. Alasona, everybody down there, be away from the windows. That is some really big hail coming through there right now. And if it's still there, I hope it's not. But that's gonna dent some stuff up. All right, you don't want to be near the windows with that. So the storm is fairly quickly moving on. It's taking its time a little bit, unfortunately. So west of 65, you're clear from this particular cell. We're not done yet. We still got some cells back to the west. But west of 65, you're good from this particular cell. All right, so the strongest part of the storm is south of 840. It's near College Grove, Bethesda, Alasona, and especially around Alasona there, kind of where the railroad kind of runs alongside Highway 31A, going down toward Chapel Hill and Lewisburg. That's where some pretty big hail could be falling, in that purple area there. So anywhere you see purples could be considered some pretty big hail. On up to the north, you got heavy rain up there in Nolensville, down toward Burke Hollow, down Wilson Pike, pretty heavy downpours there. Doesn't look like there's any hail in it up there. If it is, it's probably pretty small. And really, we're not looking at any major winds, but we got some mid-level rotation here. That's keeping the hail size up. So that's really kind of helping feed the updrafts here, these rising updrafts that are broadly rotating. That helps keep your hail size up. And that's exactly what's happening. This thing's just kind of a beast of a hailer. So not much of a tornado threat with it. We're not seeing that. Severe thunderstorm warning continues here in Williamson County until 7:45. That was just a couple of minutes ago. They've updated that. So severe thunderstorm warning continues in Williamson County until 7:45. And still seeing some reports of power poles there and on Saturn Parkway, some power poles down on Highway 31 near Thompson Station. So the thing packed a punch. Heaviest part of the hail, the heaviest core of the hail, they're around Eagleville now. That's over in Rutherford County, but not by a whole lot. So the heaviest hail is over there toward Eagleville now, between Holt's Corner and Eagleville. Still very close to Williamson County. The heaviest part of the hail looks to be moving out of Williamson County here in just a minute. Wow. So that's moving east and moving out of here, hopefully in just a few minutes. Rain, lightning, maybe some small hail north of that up into Nolensville, but really all the way up Nolensville Road into Nolensville, getting a lot in the way of rain and a lot in the way of lightning. But nothing too threatening up there except for the flooding threat. So this rain's coming down real fast. If there's any small hail, it's coming down fast. And it's going to cause some issues on Mill Creek if it hangs around too long. And all those streams, there's Biddix Creek and some others that run through there through the Bent Creek subdivision. You just kind of, y'all kind of keep an eye on that. Don't let the kids get down there and play in it. If that creek kind of comes up, and same with that flows right into Mill Creek there in town. And so, just kind of keep the kids away from it if it starts coming up in a hurry. But they shouldn't be out anyway in this lightning. But you want to stay away from waters that are going to rise. They're going to come off these hills pretty fast. All right, let's see. Heaviest core of the hail is in Eagleville now and Allisona. And the reports continue to stream in. I'm looking up here at reports and turn on the camera here in Nolensville. It's pouring in Nolensville right now, but continuing to look at the reports coming in up here, and it's pretty impressive the hail that we're getting and the hail sizes that we had. Bigger than quarters for sure. Several $50. Yeah, a lot of water. We're getting a mixture of the hail and the water reports. So $50 golf balls. I'm telling you, we just can't catch a break with these hailstorms. All right, just kind of looking through some other reports here. So the most severe part of the storm is moving over into Rutherford County, or else I'd have the radar up for you here. But you folks in Allisona down there right on the county line are still getting it, but it's moving right into Rutherford County here in just a second. It's in the process of doing that now. So I'm looking through the reports while you guys are kind of watching the camera over there, Nichols and Quarters and Spring Hill. So anyway, I think that probably sums up pretty well what we've seen. All right, let's go back to radar here real quick, and I'll show you what I was just talking about. Let's kind of back out a little bit. See this big old cell. This big old cell that's been hanging around Williamson County. Hasn't really been a Davidson County problem, but Williamson County getting a lot of rain with this. This is going to bring the creeks up in a hurry in Nolensville down to the south. All right, so you got a lot of these branches of like the Harpeth River and the different, down here south of Nolensville. If you live near a creek down here south of Nolensville and over toward I-65, really keep an eye on it. Don't let it get away from you before you can get out of there. So don't drive through any water that comes over the road or comes over where you're driving. Don't drive through that. You need to take care of what you need to take care of before the water comes up, so you don't have to drive through that. So torrential downpours now coming through the southwest sides of Nolensville, all the way down Nolensville Road into Eagleville. And that's where the heaviest radar returns are now. There's your updated radar picture, and continues to show the heaviest returns going east into Rutherford County. But there's a pocket of very torrential downpours up here around Burke Hollow. And so that's going, that's right there on Burke Hollow Road, Clovercroft Road, and it'll be crossing Nolensville Road here in just a second. But it's a wall of water. Those purples are very intense, and they're crossing Nolensville Road and will be potentially causing an issue over there with the creeks around Nolensville High School and on into town. So keep that in mind. All right, back over to the camera in Nolensville, looking to the southwest. Speaking of Nolensville, and this is looking southwest in town there, and it's the rain's coming on real hard there at the camera site, and a lot of lightning there as well. I've seen that off screen, so lots of lightning out there for sure. Let's kind of zoom out just a little bit. I know you folks in Nolensville are watching this one real close because it's pouring at your house all the way down into Triune. I mean, y'all just getting a ton of rain. So let's back to the west though. We got storms back around Duck River in Hickman County. We got storms back around Linden and Perry County, and that's the Tennessee River. We got storm there in Hampshire. Is it Hampshire or Hampshire? How do y'all say it down in Murray County? But storm down there in Mount Pleasant, and that actually could have a little rotation with it. They're going to have to keep an eye on that. That's coming out of Lewis County into Murray County, but it has hail too. So you kind of see the rotation, and that's going to help keep the hail size up in this storm too down here in Lewis County. It's going to follow a similar path as the one we had before, maybe a little bit further south, but that's going to help keep the hail size up in this one as well. So that's what we're looking at. But in other words, we are not done with the rain, it looks like. Got some more storms back to the west. All right, so hopefully it'll start letting up here a little bit in Nolensville. This is looking back to the southwest, but just really pouring in Nolensville now. So keep a close eye on the creeks for sure. Heavy rain stretches down to McCandless Road and all the way down to Triune, south of 840, down to the 31A, 41A split, and into College Grove. But hopefully it'll be moving east out of here in the next 10 minutes or so, because it is just pouring down there in Nolensville. So severe thunderstorm warning remains in effect until 7:45, and that's for us here in Williamson County. Davidson County, this is not your thing. Sorry you got left out of this one. But I know you didn't want to be involved with it. So, all right. So heaviest rain right at the Nolensville Road corridor pushing east. Once this line, or once this rain that you see right here, once it pushes east of Nolensville Road and east of the county line, that's it for that cell. All right. So they probably will shore up the warning here and exclude Williamson and keep it in effect for Rutherford. But the severe thunderstorm warning is for this cell here. And then once it exits Williamson County, we can have the all clear in Williamson County for this particular storm, and we're going to keep an eye back to the west and see what the storms do back there. And David tweets, "This hailer brought to you by the Roofer and Body Shop Co-op Conglomerate Overlords." Y'all be watching David over on Twitter, too. Don't just watch this one source here. Be sure to watch Twitter and see David over there on Twitter at Nash Severe WX. Also, be sure to check local media as well. Always have a couple of different sources for your weather information. But here is a view. Unbelievable how fast that cleared up. Just a second ago, it was absolutely pouring rain. And then in Nolensville there, once the backside of the rain exited, it shut off like a water hose and shut off, and now the clouds are starting to break up a little bit. So once it moves out, it's going to move out really fast. So it looks like a new severe thunderstorm warning was issued for Hickman, Lewis, and Murray, and that's going to be for the cell we were talking about back to the west. So this is for this cell back to the west we were talking about a little bit ago, and I'm interested on the storm motion on this thing. And dadgummit, looks like it may be aimed at Williamson County too. So, I mean, it's just one after another. So down here in, and I apologize, Hampshire, I would say Hampshire, there in western Murray County, but it looks like some hail down there, and the Weather Service has issued a severe thunderstorm warning for that, and that's going to be for 60-mile-per-hour wind gusts and quarter-size hail. I mean, I think at this point we would take quarter-size hail over the golf balls, maybe a little better, we saw down in Bethesda and east of Spring Hill a little bit ago. That was large, and we don't need any more of that. So we're going to watch the hail sizes with this cell as it comes up. Not nearly as impressive on the hail view just yet, but we're going to watch it just in case it does, because these, they definitely have sort of pulsed through the day today. They've seen, we've seen them go up, we've seen them come down, we've seen the hail drop a little bit, we've seen it get much larger all of a sudden and start dropping large hail, and so they evolve. And so we're going to watch this one in western Murray County to see what it does. The warning does not include Williamson County for this storm back in western Murray County right now. It's only for Murray County. But we are, in Hickman and Lewis, but bordering us right there, mostly from Murray is kind of where we're watching for this to come from. So there's your storm there that we're going to be watching next. But the first storm that we had is now exiting Williamson County and is now still raining heavily on Spantown, McCandless, Sanford, York Road, Rocky Fork Road, and all those roads that are east of Nolensville Road. They're in Nolensville and down to the south. Still pouring rain out there, but it looks like that it'll be out of Williamson County here in just a little bit. I'll say this: be sure to charge your devices if you still have power, which I believe many of you obviously still do. Most of you obviously still do. Some of you experiencing some power outages. And but if you still have power, it probably wouldn't be a bad idea to go ahead and just charge your devices. Make sure your phone's charged up. Make sure your laptop or I don't know, whatever you want charged. Make sure you have it plugged in, just in case, because these storms do pack a punch. And we've seen some power poles come down, and I'm seeing up in the Weather Service notes here some other customers that have lost power, both in Williamson and over there in the Duck River Electric. So that's going to be over there in, I believe, I can't remember if that's Murray or Hickman, but nonetheless, down to the southwest of us there, some customers without power. So just make sure you got your devices charged and that kind of thing. So severe thunderstorm warning technically remains in effect until 7:45, and that's about another, that's about another 25 minutes, right? But the storm that prompted that warning is moving east into Rutherford County. So I don't expect that warning will hang around that long, but we're going to immediately kind of turn our attention back to the southwest, where storm could be kind of getting its act together down here in Columbia, Murray County, down there to the southwest. So I'm going to turn off the lightning. I want to get rid of that red box there. That I don't want it to be confused for a tornado warning. That's for our lightning system that we use. So I'm going to turn that off. We know it's lightning out there for sure. So pretty strong cell down there around in the western part of Murray County. All right, flash flood warning for Williamson County continues. That was issued a little bit ago. That's in effect until 9:45. That's a very, very important part of our discussion tonight, is the flash flooding. And flash flood warning is in effect for essentially from Nolensville back to the southwest. If you're in Nolensville, I would consider yourself under a flash flood warning, regardless of where you are in town, because you just got a lot of water, and it's going to be heading, for Mill Creek or some of the tributaries, Biddix Creek that runs through the Bent Creek subdivision, and some of those other ones that run around Nolensville. You know which ones are sort of flood prone, and whether it hits flood stage with this particular rain we just got, we don't know exactly. It's hard to tell that. But when you get heavy rain like that, you need to be prepared in case you are in a flood-prone area, and you need to do whatever you need to do before the water comes up. You don't want the water to come up and then you're not able to go anywhere or do anything or drive. So you don't want to drive through that. You want to do whatever you need to do before the water comes up to prepare for that potential flooding there around Nolensville and back to the southwest as a part of this flash flood warning. All right, so that's in effect till 9:45 tonight. Severe thunderstorm warning remains in effect till 7:45, and that's for here in Williamson County down to the south, for basically from Nolensville down to the south. But that storm, as we said, that storm's pushing on east. Pretty cool clouds there in Nolensville. Y'all sent in some cloud pictures, and those were pretty cool. Even up from in Davidson County, the clouds were pretty cool up there as this storm came in. Far away from the precipitation in the worst part of the storm, the clouds from it streamed into Davidson County. It was pretty neat. All right, let's go back to radar here real quick. Still getting pictures of hail larger than quarters coming in from Spring Hill. So Will's mentioning this. He asked that if you could say in your report a little bit more specifically where you are, maybe like 2 miles. He says in here 2 miles southwest of Summit High School, maybe rather than just Spring Hill or just Thompson Station or just Bethesda, something like that. If you can give some sort of reference of where you are in town, that would be helpful there in your reports. But use hashtag TSpotter. And the weather service is pinging that large hail we saw a minute ago at 2 1/4 inch diameter hail. The radar was not exaggerating. That's pretty amazing. So I'm looking up here at our notes. You're looking at radar here as the storm moves east out of Williamson County, but I'm looking here at some of the reports, and the weather service pinged that report there around Bethesda of hail up to 2 1/4 inches in diameter. So that's wild. We just don't see that around here very often. That's fairly rare, I think, at least in our two counties. You know, we just don't see that often. We had a big hailstorm come through. I think it was maybe 2012 or so, and that was a mess up in Davidson County. I think that was 2012 maybe, and what a mess that was. But we just don't get that very often here. But 2 1/4 is pretty impressive, and that fell up there. That fell up around, I think that was around Bethesda. Okay, so we're looking at sort of a wide view here. The storm has left Williamson County, okay? So the first storm is no longer a threat to Williamson County. We can kind of give an all clear to Williamson for that. So it's clearly east of Williamson County, the heaviest part, and whatever hail is associated with it, which it's still pinging 2-inch hail down there in, I would say that would be... they're around Christiana, south of overall Christiana area, right in that red and purple. So clearly the worst part of the storm over there is in Rutherford County. Almost all of the precipitation from that storm at all, even the light rain, has pushed east into Rutherford County. So for that particular cell, this one here, the original cell, we can kind of give the all clear for Williamson County on that one. We're looking back to the southwest, though, because severe thunderstorm warning continues down here in Murray County for a storm that kind of got its act together hail-wise, and that was right there in western Murray County, and doesn't look nearly, at least according to radar doesn't interpret that to be nearly as much of a threat hail-wise as it was just a little bit ago. Caveat, though, these things have pulsed up and down quite a bit, all right? So, you never really know what it's going to do. It could pulse up very quickly and could drop some large hail. Radar is pinging area of large hail here. This will be outside of a warning box, but we don't know whether that's actually reaching the ground or not. But worth noting and worth kind of paying attention to. Could be some large hail there in eastern Hickman County, not too far from Craigfield. Looks like severe thunderstorm warning being canceled for Williamson County, so that's going to go away. And I think I can show you that. Yes. So turn the radar off here so you can kind of see the warnings. So yes, the warning has been canceled for Marshall, Murray, and Williamson. So Williamson now excluded. There are no severe thunderstorm or tornado warnings in effect for either county. There is a flash flood warning in effect, and I've turned the radar off here, but there is a flash flood warning in effect from Nolensville back to the southwest. Turn around, don't drown. Please, please, please don't drive through flooded roadways. That is, especially at night here, that's just a recipe for disaster. Please don't do it. Pay attention around Mill Creek and all of its tributaries. They're around Nolensville, Biddix Creek, and a bunch of those other ones that run through neighborhoods and flow into Mill Creek around town. Be very careful there. There's some roads that flood fairly often there around Nolensville Road, right there around Clovercroft, the intersection at Nolensville, Clovercroft, Rocky Fork can get some water sometimes in rain like this. Just be careful out there all the way back down toward Franklin and back to the southwest. We could have some water over the roadways. We're going to jump off of YouTube Live, and we're going to watch the storm down to the southwest and see what it does, but we could have a warning a little bit later. We're going to stay right here close by in case any of these tick up on their hail sizes again, and any warnings get extended over into Davidson County. But for now, we're going to jump off of here, and we'll see you shortly if we need to. Otherwise, we'll be over on Twitter, and we'll be taking your reports using hashtag TSpotter. And I'm reading one more note from the Weather Service. There remain 2 severe thunderstorm warnings. The storm near and south of Murfreesboro remains capable of at least quarter-sized hail. So we're going to keep an eye on this one here in Murray County, though. That would be closest to us, and we'll jump back on if we need to. Thanks, guys.